All right. Good Saturday morning. Except for our buddy Nate. Welcome, Nate.
Hey boys, how you going?
Good.
Hey, how's it going?
We're
Not too
today we're rolling out our Saturday morning cartoon special. Grab your breakfast, grab your grab your pancakes, grab your donut, grab your
Grab your
coffee.
Dunkin'.
Yeah, grab your Dunkin'. I think each Saturday we'll try to grab something different in the morning. We're dragging a little this morning, but we're here. But so the
Yeah,
goal is
I don't feel well, and this was not the primary. This was a surprise for me this morning.
the goal here is that every Saturday morning we want to just kind of bring back some of that magic of what Saturday morning cartoons were like watching it. And this time we thought we'd watch with friends. So we're gonna watch live an episode of Superman the Animated Series every Saturday morning here. And so to kick this off, we're like, who else better to have than Mr. Nathan McKenzie? And if you're not familiar with Mr. McKenzie here, the great Nate, so he does Superman the Animated Series, Superman the Animated Podcast. And currently his podcast, which James and I have both been on, is doing season 1 of My Adventures with Superman. So if you haven't checked it out, I highly recommend it. Nate, where can people find you before we get into this episode?
Thanks so much for starters. Yeah, you definitely find us on all your social media platforms at Sup Animated Pod, on Twitter, or X as it's now called, Instagram, and on Facebook, Superman the Animated Podcast. But yeah, like you said, it's great to go back to where it all started for me, back Superman the Animated Series. This is going to be a lot of fun. Having a lot of fun going through My Adventures with Superman. Having great discussions with you both about the episodes we discussed, and just finishing off season 1 currently. So a bit disappointed here in Australia, can't get season 2, but hopefully when it does rock up, we'll get you back on board and we'll talk about that as well.
Yeah, I hope you get it soon. I was just able to buy it on Prime this week because it wasn't available previously. I tried to, because we would, like Tyler and we would like buy the seasons digitally.
Yep.
So that way they have them, especially with the show, because they'll be at the digital episodes will be out long before the season gets released.
Yeah, it's been interesting because they just released it on physical, but only on DVD here.
Which I still need to grab, but still, it is only DVD.
Shout out to
it'll match my Superman the Animated Series DVDs.
Yeah, I'm gonna buy it here soon. Shout out to Movie Buff right here. Morning, guys. Morning. And yes,
Morning.
Yesterday I did make a post. It was the 11-year anniversary of Man of Steel, and I can't believe it's been 11 years, and you know this little guy wasn't even born yet. Like, it's crazy to think about. Like, it's interesting. It is just interesting to go back and think about that. And I always like to watch, like, if Man of Steel to me feels like a really good kind of Father's Day movie, so it is one I kind of like to go back and watch. But we're gonna watch Superman the Animated
Father's Day movie. I love that movie so much.
We're gonna do season 1, episode 1, and we know that it's a 3-parter, but the goal is to watch just the individual episodes, much like we would on a regular Saturday morning type thing. So.
Yeah, they rarely had done like the blocks kind of thing. You'd get your episode of Batman, you'd get your episode of Superman, you'd get your episode of Spider-Man, and your episode of X-Men, and then you'd have to wait next week.
Now, what's funny is I put the cover art here right up in the corner for it. I remember my parents got me the VHS of the 3 parts as like one movie. Where they released it when they used to do stuff like that. So that was the only like Superman the Animated Series home. Hey, thanks, man. Thank you. It is Father's Day weekend. I don't know if we said that, so it's a great time. Wait till you guys see the Father's Day shirt the kids got me. Wear it tomorrow. It's pretty sweet.
Nice.
I'll look out for it.
Look out for it in the chat.
Nate's like, guys, it's almost, it's Father's Day. That's an American thing. But okay, so we are going to be streaming this on Max we have it pulled up here. We're gonna try to sync up our time. Nate, how are you watching, buddy?
I've just found it just quickly online. Otherwise, I'd have to turn around, chuck it on my Blu-ray on the TV next to me. So this one's got the original intro. So I don't think it by remembering actually proper the DVD. It's got the intro. So I'll just try and
We'll
match
try.
up the best I can.
Yeah, well, like I said, we're gonna try to do this the best we can. Like it's the first time. We'll work out the
Yep.
kinks. And yeah, I don't have. See, I want to buy the Blu-ray digital copies of this. I have all the DVDs of it, and kind of stream it from my digital copies. That's what makes it nice. But is everybody ready? The goal is we're gonna go. Yeah, that's what I want to get. We're gonna do kind of a 1, 2, 3, and then because I'm a musician, on the fourth beat we hit play. So it's like 1, 2, 3, play, and we'll try to sync it up as best as possible. So Nate, are you ready?
I am ready.
James, are you ready? It's like we're racing cars here. He's got it muted because he's probably fighting with this attack. He's like,
oh, sorry, vroom vroom. Yeah.
Solomon, are you ready?
Yeah.
All right. So as soon as you guys are ready, James?
I'm ready.
Let me try this. 1, 2, 3, and play. All right, we hit our Warner Brothers fanfare, and the rocket is being launched. I love the score.
What's that?
I said I love the score.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
actually one of my first TV shows I watched.
Hey, it's Luke. Hey, Luke.
What's going on?
Luke will be
Morning.
the
Hey,
shores of
Luke.
America soon.
Afternoon.
Yeah, afternoon. Right.
Good afternoon, Luke. Good evening, Nate.
Yeah, all around the world.
Was it good afternoon, good evening, and good night?
Yeah, pretty much. I was gonna say, I think you're more good night at this point.
I've told this story before, but I'll say it now. When Solomon was born, I bought all the DVDs of this. So when I would be up with him or whatever, I had this playing all the time in his nursery, and I would kind of
nice.
sing his name, Solomon, to the theme song. So I'd be like, Solomon, like as I'm sitting there like feeding him and shake like. So that's the last time I did a full rewatch of the show was when he was born. It's so it'd be like 1 o'clock there. No, 2 o'clock.
No, 2
right?
2 o'clock. Yeah.
Yeah, it is afternoon. That's cool.
Yeah, nice.
I remember the last time I watched this was in my bedroom. It was like a year ago.
So I mean, this is definitely part of my childhood, and a great part of just having a great cartoon to watch.
Yeah, this is a large part. I was hyped, every Saturday morning, and then when they had the afternoon like WB Kids block at like 4 after school, I would this is what I'm doing after school. Screw homework. I'm doing this, and then I'll do my homework.
I love what I learned that it was Christopher McDonald, who was doing the voice of Jarrell, and I was like, Shooter McGavin,
Yeah.
like I was like, wow.
You did shout out the score, of course, as Shirley Walker.
Yep.
She's so great. She did so good on this score and the Batman animated series score.
We had this discussion before, just throwing it out. We're talking Batman and Shirley Walker. I actually prefer her arrangement of the Batman score over Elfman's. I feel like Shirley was able to strip some things down and make some things pop for Elfman's score.
It certainly made it different, and it made it a little more energetic for the show. 30 minutes get you excited about the episode from the beginning, from the opening score and credit sequence, opening intro sequence, and
it's like a gelatinous cube attaching poor Jarrell right here.
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys are familiar with Onward.
Yeah, it's funny. They talk about they show like this weird creature here, and we're reading Secrets and Lies, and he escapes from the center of Krypton from some creatures and some like acid melding through his suit and stuff.
I don't know about you guys, but I love the fact that Brainiac was introduced in the first episode of the
Yes,
series.
one of the first shot, yeah, of the spaceship flying right there. He's actually leaving the planet, if I'm not mistaken. Like that's the point we see as we are zooming into Krypton, we're
Mm.
seeing something leave Krypton.
Yeah, it's like he's already setting up his satellite, because after the planet explodes, we see the satellite like fly away. But it's up there now, waiting for him to be able to upload himself at the last second before the planet leaves, or
What did
before
you
the
guys-
planet it blows up.
So personally, I had not learned, like at this time, I'm still in like the whole history of Brainiac and stuff. So it wasn't a big deal. So to me, for that Brainiac was a Kryptonian kind of creation on Krypton, because I was still learning, a lot of the full mythology and stuff. Because for the most part, I had read at this time some comics, but more of my Superman stuff had come from Toddler Cal.
Little Kal-El.
Most of my experience had come from, animation or the films. So the Brainiac like revelation of really wasn't that much to me. It is now, and I think it's awesome. I do love, one thing I do love is that Superman looks like his dad, but has his mother's eyes in a lot of comics, but the curl comes from her.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I was just noticing that myself.
Yeah.
And having
Oh,
recently,
that's cool. I never put that together. That's
Yeah,
amazing.
same.
I love it.
they do it in certain comics. I'd have to go back and look. Like the curl comes from his mother, and I love it because so much stuff had pulled from he's like his father, but it's
Well, especially in animation and comics, when they talk about, because a long time ago they spoke about how he looks so much like Jor-El. So
Mhm.
comics and animation, it's damn near the same character model with just some slight changes, like his slick back hair. He doesn't have that curl. Of course, he doesn't have glasses, but otherwise, it's like the same character model.
Mm.
So to see that he gets that something from his mother.
Now, real quick here. I think it's interesting that he calls his father-in-law Sol Vaughn, because I thought it was always Lor Vaughn, because it was always Lara Lor Vaughn, because that is his father-in-law, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Good old father-in-laws. Sometimes the greatest thing ever. Sometimes, they just mess with your scientific theory.
Sometimes, sometimes they take some of those liberties, like character names and everything. I mean, I'm actually
Yeah.
just surprised they kind of got the Vaughn right.
Yeah.
Mhm.
It'd be interesting to find out when her full name had come about.
It's true.
Laura Vaughn, if it was even before this show came out
Oh,
in the 90s.
do you see that, guys? Little puppy curled up under the table.
Little crypto.
Little Easter egg there. Now, I do, having that we have just recently, in the past, 6 months, whatever, read John Byrne's Man of Steel for Electric Mullet, a side podcast we're a part of. I do like that Krypton is taking cues from that. Their look is like that, but they don't have the full head coverings. They don't have the sigils, which is a bummer. But there is a relationship between Jor-El and Lara compared to that comic. But also, what are you guys' thoughts that, like, Cal, what do you think he is? 1? Like he's like a year old
Yeah.
here?
Yeah.
Yeah. He's able to walk, so I mean, you got to be about 1.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, I must admit, seeing Baby Crypto in this this first episode brings me back to DC Super Pets, and I just saw this again and just went, oh, and just brings me back to that. And it's so emotional watching that start of that movie with that little the puppy jumping in the spaceship with him.
Yeah. I expect that white puppy to jump in there with him.
my kids love that part, because you had that giant emotional beat of like Crypto jumping in there, then he licks the baby, and then he yawns, and then it smash cuts to Superman snoring, and they're like, "Oh,
Yeah.
it's like Dad." They always want to point out me snoring. But one thing, like, I don't like about John Byrne's Man of Steel is I've never liked the birthing matrix of Superman being born on Earth, and we don't have to go all into that right now, but I just like the idea of like a parent holding their child and being bonded with it and then having to let it go. I think is a strong emotion that you can't undervalue, and I think the birthing matrix kind of undervalues that. But
yeah,
like
I know.
right here,
I know the idea was for him to be born on Earth, so he's technically an Earthling with Kryptonian heritage, with Kryptonian DNA. That was the idea behind that. But no, I absolutely feel like he should be born on Krypton, and not that much later. Like you
Because
don't get to, even if they've gotten to spend a good year or so with Cal here. You
Right.
know, in most iterations, it's pretty soon after. You know, within probably weeks or months at most, that they send him away.
I think it really helps value the story of Jor-El and Lara having that bond with their child, and like just showing them holding their child and interacting with and having a relationship. So I am very glad that they took the time with this episode. I mean, to develop this story, it's important that we really see the man Jor-El is, the world. I think it just really adds to the depth. It's also a cautionary tale for how we must be put into computers.
I do like how how much faith that they put into the computer, and but yeah, I like how in this first episode Brainiac is basically the first villain of this show. He's shutting himself down, he's shunting himself off, lying to the council about Krypton's fate so he can save himself and not have to worry about everyone on Krypton and everyone on Krypton being destroyed. Like he literally is a cause of not the cause, but a strong factor in the genocide of Krypton.
Yeah.
He doesn't do anything to stop it. He totally lies to the council so that way he wouldn't even that way he wouldn't even have to work on the issue of trying to save anybody, just save himself.
I mean, how much fuzz do we put in AI and computers? And look, learning right here, Brainiac's saving himself.
Yep.
It's not like I got a smartphone that does all that stuff anyway. Like,
yeah, I know. I bet my smartphone will save itself if I'm hanging off the side of a cliff.
I mean, it's already backing itself up in the cloud.
So. Yeah, right.
But the thing I love about this episode, though, is that there's only 2 episodes of Superman the Animated Series that Tim Daly doesn't provide his voice for, and that's this one, and in season 3 of New Kids in Town. So it's just interesting how, like, the first ever episode doesn't actually have the title character and his voice to provide. So I thought that was pretty interesting. A bold choice, so to say, even though they brought all 3 episodes out in one hit. But yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, which is going to be interesting watching it one episode at a time.
Yeah, it's the idea is to do something fun and not overwhelm everybody. Like, and I mean, I don't remember when it first aired if it just did the 1 episode or if it did all 3. I think it did the 1, but I don't remember. I was wee, small.
Yeah. This came out when I was 11, and yeah, I mean, at the time it was just exciting to see it.
Yeah,
something to remember. Some the little things like that you might not remember.
I do think they, like I said, they got a good look for Krypton and everything with this animation style, and it's thinking about it now, like we know it's all the Bruce Timm stuff. How much I feel like the Krypton stuff, maybe subconsciously, like gets reflected in Batman Beyond, like how some of the designs kind of look the way they did the Batman Beyond stuff too.
Right.
So,
I mean, yeah, that would make a lot of sense, Krypton being this scientifically advanced culture, and then Earth stuff not looking as advanced, especially from Batman. From
Mm.
Batman to Batman Beyond, that's a huge scientific leap.
mhm.
For that one lifetime. So, that's pretty cool.
Look at that scientist go.
It's almost like Jor-El can kick butt.
He's just missing Haraka.
Yeah. But he straight up jumped off a building.
Yep.
Like, if you got a problem with Russell Crowe doing what he does in that movie, you need to watch what Jor-El can do.
I can't remember his name, but the voice actor who does Solvan here is actually in Lois and Clark: The New Adventures of Superman.
It's Tony J, right?
That's him, yeah.
Yeah.
That's
He
100%
is.
him.
I remember him from the Mighty Max. He was also in, of course, Disney's Hunchback of Notre Dame.
Okay.
Yeah.
He was Frollo. He just has one of those great, creepy voices. He did a
very distinctive voice, and
he did a documentary on, was like the narrator for a documentary on H.H. Holmes we watched for school, and yeah, his voice just adds to the horrors of that story.
Yeah, that would be macabre. It's like having
he just stood up to his father-in-law. He's like, "Shut up."
It's like having Tony Todd as your narrator. Like, you're getting something creepy.
The older I get, the harder like this part is. Like when I was a kid, I was like, "Oh yeah, cool." Like I get it. Like now as a parent, I'm just like, "Oh my gosh." Right there, like just her,
Right. Like, do you want your I mean, that's so hard to consider. Like, do you want your child to suffer the same fate and not live a life, but you have your child until the end, or give your child that chance to live a life? I mean, at least in this version, at least in Superman, they are able to, like, especially when it comes to the fact that they die,
Mhm.
they get to get him a message about how they cared for him and why they sent him away and everything, even though he would grow up for a long time not knowing who his real parents are. And I mean that the orphan and adoption angle, where a lot of people who are orphans and who have been adopted, they have a lot of issues with that specifically.
I think his mom being Lara Lorvon definitely set him on a path of liking women with LLs.
Right.
This is great. I love this. Right here.
He just jumps in the shadow fell and just goes.
I do love how their home was built into the hill, though.
Mm-hmm.
Built into and on the hill. It was really cool. Like, some of the architecture, I know it's supposed to be alien, but it still doesn't look like it serves a purpose.
Look at that, airbags.
Of it.
I love it.
Good evening, officers. Is there a problem?
I just love when you see people come together for a common, like,
yeah.
The goal is to, protect baby cow.
Lara crying.
It's still got to be one of the best spaceships. Like,
yes,
I love it. And just the fact that, spoiler alert, but the fact that Superman gets to fly it, on Earth, I think it's, Dr. Emil Hamilton actually helps him, and it's,
yeah.
And just the launching of this rocket and this, this scene coming up soon is just, the fact that that's part of the every episode that you see is iconic.
Boom. It also, I think, just
You wonder if like the council and things like that got that same type of message, like with everything that was going on here at the end, and Brainiac was like, "You're doomed," and then they're like, "We should have listened to him." Boom.
yeah. I mean, doing it like this, we actually do get to meet the people of Krypton a little bit and get to just kind of feel like a little bit for their society of like.
Well, I mean, with a full animated show like this, it's amazing to see Krypton, see where he came from, see why he left. They did what they did, setting up Brainiac and things like that. Showing the love that the parents have for him, and then we got to see something very similar in Man of Steel. We got to spend time on Krypton and everything. We've seen this. We even saw it back in '78. We've seen a lot of Krypton and its destruction. So I think if you're going to do an origin story, you kind of got to do something back on Krypton. But I think if you're going to kind of just jump in with the character, kind of like the idea is for Superman coming out.
Yeah.
Or like how Spider-Man was introduced into the MCU, you kind of just jump in, and you see, and you're in already at the hero time.
I like
I
that.
just think it's fantastically well done for the show.
Jarrell talked about, he could send Lara with him, but there's a risk. And she's like, no, my place is with you. Her part of her sacrifice is guaranteeing that he makes it. Oh, there's kryptonite.
Wait, is that actually kryptonite?
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, the interesting bit about this one, kind of like,
And that's the end.
if he
Sleeping
does have a
baby.
portal, if it's a portal, or if it's, but it's still getting us to Earth and getting kryptonite to Earth.
Yeah. And like Nate was saying, like that's the, first, it's, Tim Daly's not even providing the voice. And, I think it's bold to kind of do this episode without even really your main character being part of the show. Like, I feel like usually you do like probably a flashback or something, and boom, there's, your character. But like to take the time to actually do a full episode of Krypton and him being sent off, I think was bold. And I think it pays off to just the tone of the series and where the series goes, and just really elevating the series by taking your time to develop that angle. So,
well, I think now that we've watched it, so many years later, we appreciate it a lot more. The fact that, as you mentioned before, Tyler, they went in and developed those characters early, so we knew who they were, and we had a better understanding of what Clark was leaving behind, or Kal-El was leaving behind, so to speak. So, I think you appreciate it more later on, knowing why they did what they did, and obviously it was the fruits happened from there.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right, everyone. Well, happy Saturday morning or Saturday evening for Nate and Saturday afternoon for Luke.
Yep.
I hope everybody has a good day, and thanks for joining us. We'll be back next Saturday for episode 2, and we'll discuss that as we just kind of have our good times going through the animated series. Nate, any last things you want to shout out real quick again? Bring some more plugs.
Going through episodes 8 and 9 of My Adventure for Superman over the next couple of weeks for the podcast, Superman the Animated Podcast. So if you haven't started season 2 yet and you're still on season 1, just jump on board. If you want to go right back to the start, you'll be lucky enough to listen to Tyler and James in a couple of episodes there. And really enjoying that series. I love the fact that I get to talk to everyone about the differences between Superman the Animated Series and My Adventures with Superman, and what we like and dislike and all that sort of stuff. So it's great to be a part of it. So that's me at the moment.
All right, everybody. Have a good day. And remember,